Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. A lot of people will be talking to you today, so I'm not going to talk a lot. I just mostly, first and foremost, want to thank everybody who is here today, the myriad of agencies, the senior level support that San Francisco Fleet Week has. Thank you all for being here. I particularly want to thank Diana Vandenberg. This event just simply would not have happened without Diana, and she's in that corner right now. Thank you so much. And her support organization, HSSI, bringing in resources for us. The San Francisco Department of Emergency Management, our true partners in the whole Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response Program. The SLS Planning Committee, which consisted of various agencies, all of the branches of the service. They all work together to bring this program to you in the hopes that it will help us to better prepare for emergencies. And in particular, we've had a supporter back in Washington, D.C. at Headquarters Marine Corps. And he's going to be retiring in 3 weeks. He's out here today. And so this is my only chance to publicly thank him, Mr. Raymond Jeffroy from the PP&O Division at Headquarters Marine Corps. Mr. Jeffroy, thank you for all these years of support. You know, San Francisco Fleet Week in 2010, we started out with the Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response Program. General Myatt told me I can't call it that. I have to have an acronym because it's the military. So it's the HADR program, or HADR. From that, we created the San Francisco Center for HADR, and so it's SF Chatter. And it all works just fine because it's an acronym, everybody understands it. But through that, in 2010, we did the DISCA on steroids briefing on the USS Macon Island. Following that, we promised a tabletop exercise, and we did that. Tabletop exercise on medical evacuation prior to Fleet Week, and a back brief on how that went, along with so many other subjects that were discussed on the USS Bonhomme Richard. And that was in 2011. In 2012, another successful year. We had a live exercise on command and control and route clearance. In 2012, boots on the ground, airplanes flying in the air, a true interoperable exercise between the state, the federal, and the local governments. A true success, again, back briefed at the Senior Leader Seminar in 2012. We were lucky enough to get the USS Macon Island back for that. In 2013, it was a bit of a pause. But we still persevered. The gentleman who's going to speak next, Mayor Ed Lee, he had been involved with the SLS program since 2010. He is somebody who truly cares about disaster response and recovery, making sure the communities stick together after the disaster. He has done a fabulous job in supporting us. He sent me back to Washington, D.C. to meet with the Department of Defense with a letter in hand, letting the Department of Defense know that this was an important program. The Department of Defense decided they were going to support it. It could not be Fleet Week. There was going to be no Fleet Weeks anywhere in the country. But we had exercises. We had Ospreys landing at the Coast Guard station. We were going to have a senior leader seminar, but 8 days before the seminar, the entire government shut down. So we could beat sequestration, but we simply couldn't beat the entirety of the government shutting down. But we're back now. And we've had exercises. We had an exercise back in August on moving goods and services from a depot point at Travis Air Force Base into the San Francisco area when all the roads and bridges are out. Very successful program, and I think you'll hear a bit about that today. We also had the Ospreys landing at the Coast Guard station just this past Monday, doing a medical evacuation and also bringing in medical supplies where the shock trauma platoon was offloaded and then set up at San Francisco General Hospital. So there's so many programs that are going on. But I want to tell you that Mayor Ed Lee has been such a supporter of this program. He recognizes the need for all of these various agencies to collaborate. He's got a huge amount of experience in public administration, and he knows what it means to have to knock down silos and get people working together. So Mayor Lee, I want to thank you for all of these years of support and ask you to come up here and give us some remarks. Mayor Lee.
Thank you, Louis LOEVEN, and thank you, Bob Steffen, as well. You can tell Air Force, very, very efficient. Louis, thank you for your leadership and all that you do for our city. I appreciate it very much. Before I start my initial thank yous, I just want to make sure the media knows, because you haven't been here for a couple of years, with the session break that we had last year, but I just want to say that this is the Senior Leadership Seminar, and that has less to do with age. But it does have a lot to do with experience. This is where we have the ability, with all of our departments, our emergency management, our police and fire and health, and port, and all the wonderful agencies, to be able to share our experience with our military men and women in uniform and the high command to talk about how we would respond in a major disaster and train ourselves and build the important relationships that are necessary to make sure that we can respond in the most efficient way. And I love the fact that I've always said the military's expertise has a lot to do with logistics, and I love logistics because after a major disaster, it is all about how to get the needs fulfilled in the great city of San Francisco. Let me begin by, first of all, thanking General Myatt and Secretary George Shultz for the work that you've been both doing every single year to bring this Fleet Week back to San Francisco, and we are back. We're back in a big way. I hate the word sequestration. It's hard to say already, but I hated that word from the start when they started trying to explain that to me, and all I said was it was denying us the opportunity to come together, as we should, not just in San Francisco, as a region, as a state, as a country. It denied us the opportunity to share our experiences with our men and women in military, in uniform, with the foreseeable disasters that we have, not only in this country, but the humanitarian message that we have for the entire world, which our city is a gateway to. This message is so important to this country, and I'm so glad that we are doing this right here in San Francisco. Not just Fleet Week, which obviously is our way of celebrating our military and their role, but also to practice what we preach, to actually demonstrate here what it is to respond to disaster with the best type of equipment and the highest level of commitment with our men and women. And so I am proud, we've been proud in the city of San Francisco since 1901, when the very first Fleet Week was held, when some 14-month-long voyage started and included San Francisco. And by the way, I've reminded people that right there in Chinatown, the Portsmouth Square is named after one of the first ships that landed on the Fleet Week. Is right there in the heart of our city. I, of course, continue to be grateful to then Mayor and now our U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein for bringing Fleet Week back, the tradition back to San Francisco in 1981. In my opinion, our city is special because of this Fleet Week and because of the celebration for the entire country. It is my understanding, and not just bragging rights, we are the best Fleet Week celebration in the entire country of the United States. Right. And we do it right. Not only do we celebrate all of the different military divisions of our armed forces, we also make sure that we demonstrate to the public what it is that each of them can do with us. And this is so important to us now because we continue to realize that we will be facing disasters, and more those disasters are giving us reminders, whether it was the Napa earthquake or now the biggest discussions around the world are disasters in health. And those can be very, very devastating. In fact, you'll probably find a lot of residents kind of scared, whether they're going to the airport or visiting other places, they're scared. And I think we have answers for that. We have confidence builders, and it is beginning right here in San Francisco, the relationship building that we have to make sure that we're always ready for any type of disaster. So I say to all of you that today's seminar is very important. We have a lot of speakers. I went through the list, and gosh, if I had the time today, I would love to just sit and really absorb the information that will flow from division to division. But I also say this too, that I recognize, as in all of our bureaucracies, that we've got to do this every year and on a regular basis. All of our staffs, whether you're in the Navy, the Marines, the Army, the Air Force, or the Coast Guard, our staffs change. In San Francisco, our bureaucracy staffs change. We've got to create relationships all the time. And we've learned this sometimes the hard way. And our DEM knows this because they have to deal with the constant changing of staff and the retraining of people to make sure. And the practice and the seminars, they all go a long way. We're all in this together. And I'm proud of the working relationships with all of you here today, including all of our federal partners. And in fact, we have more than just federal partners as well. We also have visitors from the Philippines that are joining in this seminar. Last year, I was able to join our sister city in Manila, and we brought staff from our Department of Emergency Management to visit them, clearly to share best practices as they faced a tremendous disaster of their typhoon. And we shared with them our practices as they did with us on what they were doing. And in exchange, they've sent some representatives from the Philippines to join us. And I'm glad from their staffs of emergency management, they're joining us here today. This is going international. And I expect in the future that we'll be joined by other countries that will also want to kind of build the relationship that we're building here, because that's important to them. I personally want to thank the San Francisco Fleet Week Association, our honorary chairs, of course, and Senator Feinstein and former Secretary George Shultz for their commitment to this very special time. I look forward to christening, the commissioning of a fantastic ship that I had the privilege of visiting earlier this week, our USS America. What a fine, fine ship that is, and already you can sense how different that ship is, as it has the ability to respond very, very quickly with a lot of different kinds of support. And again, I want to thank the numerous sponsors, the government agencies who have helped make this Fleet Week possible, our Department of Emergency Management, our Port, our Police and Fire, our Municipal Transit Agency, our Recreation and Park Department, as well as our airport. Today, during Fleet Week and every day, San Franciscans recognize all of the brave women and men that serve and have served our country. And the duty and sacrifice made by the military members and their families are truly inspiring for this city. And this will continue to be the best Fleet Week this country ever sees. Thank you for being here. And of course, you know what I'm going to say. Go Giants. All right. Thank you. Excuse me, and my duties, not to forget, please let me introduce to you Vice Admiral Kenneth Floyd of the U.S. Navy.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. So, you know, I was just talking to my friend Admiral Ray there, and we see each other fairly often. We have this debate sometimes over who has the harder job, and of course I do. And it's and I think that you could recognize it this morning in that I get to follow the mayor, and that's a tough job anywhere you go. And Charlie, on the other hand, is going to have the opportunity to look really good because he's going to follow me. But at any rate, I think I can go on record by saying, you know, sequestration was bad last year. My first official duty after I took command in June of last year was to meet with Lewis and General Myatt and say, Fleet Week's canceled. How do you like me so far? But I told them then, if we can get past the sequestration from a Fleet Week standpoint, we're going to come back to San Francisco, and we're going to do our best to come in a really big way. So I think you'll see over the next, or have seen over the past few days, and will see over the next several days, a lot of sailors and Marines out there that are just having a fantastic time kind of carrying on that conversation with the citizens of this country. That's what we lost, I think, during sequestration, was our ability to continue the conversation with the citizens of this country. But anyway, we're here to talk about DSCA, and I just want to thank everyone again for being here and for inviting us to be here as well. You know, these planning events are key to how we're going to respond, and I have to thank Secretary Schultz for continuing to champion this effort here in San Diego, or San Francisco. I got the San part right, you know. It's like and of course General Myatt for providing this venue. You know, this building itself, I think, is a real tribute and showpiece for the relationship between the city and the military. And then with regards to today's agenda, you know, I think it shows that Lewis and his team are really looking forward as we look at different ways to view emergency management and disaster response. And I see that in the agenda today. We've got people, international and national exercises. We're going to hear from some real world events. And I think that's a real tribute to Lewis and his team. And it's very important to a planning event like this one. It's all about relationships. You know, we work pretty hard in the Department of Defense to tell our story and to be there as requested. And I think that the fires that we had earlier in California kind of show that response. It's kind of the payoff from the planning that we've done in the past. So anyway, really looking forward to the rest of the day for the participation in what we're going to do, and just want to thank all of y'all again for being here, and again for inviting the 3rd Fleet. Thanks very much. Now I'm going to introduce my friend Vice Admiral Charlie Ray, who's the PAC Area Commander for the U.S. Coast Guard.
Good morning, everyone. Secretary Schultz, thank you for your undying support of this event, and to General Myatt for hosting it. And to our distinguished guests, it's really a pleasure to be here with you. And distinguished guests, that's kind of the beginning of any remarks, but it's really important for this, I believe, because by your presence here, you indicate to the public and to the men and women that serve with you how important this event is. And so taking time, everyone, as I look across here, we've got some important and busy folks from across the country, and certainly from the Bay Area and from the state of California. And so I want to thank you for being here, because we know how important this is. We are in, you know, the Pacific is a ring of fire, and San Francisco certainly is no stranger to that. And we all know that we are literally a heartbeat away from a no-notice catastrophe that would affect the citizens up and down this coast. And when that happens, they will look to us to bring relief and to restore order to their lives. And so that's our duty, and that's what we're here for. The men and women of the United States Coast Guard are really happy to be here. We certainly don't come in as large in numbers as our brothers and sisters from the other armed services and from the first responders, even in a lot of the cities, but this is our business. And it's our business from Alaska to American Samoa, but for this next 3 days, our business is here in the Bay Area. And there's about 3 things that I want to kind of just briefly emphasize, foot stomp on. One is, the mayor talked about it, Lewis talked about it, everybody talks about it, and that's the partnerships. There's a really simple but profound saying when you're in this business that we're in, is when you need a friend, it's too late to make one. And so these next 2 or 3 days are about making friends, and not, you know, the kind of friends, because on that day, and it will come, when the bad things happen, these same folks, or some folks just like them, will be standing in a place not nearly as fancy as this. and they'll be in not as nice a clothes as they're in right now, and they'll be the ones solving this problem. And so our ability to know each other and trust each other, you build that up by contact, and that's what this is all about. As your Coast Guard in the Bay Area, we play an important part of this, and we'll have a panel in just a little bit with Captain Greg Stump, who is the captain of the port here, because the Congress and the people of the United States have given the Coast Guard a significant range of authorities that enable us to really weigh in on matters that are important. The first of which, of course, search and rescue. That's what we do. You see us doing that on the nightly news. And those same assets that do that in times of relative calm will be brought to bear and surged here, just as we surged to Katrina, just as we surged to New England for her Superstorm Sandy. We would do that to the Bay Area. But more importantly, over the long haul, our authorities are important. Captain Stump holds them for this Bay Area, and we've got captains of the port up and down the Pacific coast for establishing order to the port, because that's what brings normalcy back. The commerce and the goods and services, the fuel, and every one of those things is what allows our citizens to get back to normal, and that's our goal. And so we really focus on that in the hours and days after the disaster, and we'll have a chance to talk about that. And Greg's the smartest guy in the room today about that, so feel free to ask him about that. And while we in the Coast Guard pride ourselves as first responders, make no doubt about it, there is not a finer team in the world for delivering logistics from the sea than our Navy and Marine Corps team. And over the long haul, that's what's going to make a difference in these events. And so it is really important that we've got them here, from the glory of the USS America to the grunts that came in on the Ospreys on Monday. That Navy and Marine Corps team will make a difference in American lives here in the Bay Area. And it's really important that they're here. And so with that said, I'd like to turn the microphone over to my friend, Major General Vince Colonnay. He's the commander of the 1st Marine Logistics Group. Thank you.
Well, sir, I don't have to speak now. You did my part. That's great. Secretary Schultz, it's an honor for you to be here. You're part of our Marine Corps legacy, so I think all the Marines in the room are really excited. I know they are. Due to sequestration, I have no slides today. And then the Mayor Lee teed it up. He said he loves logistics. I'm a logistics officer. And then he said, go Giants. I'm a New York Giants fan, so that's just great. So everything's rolling. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, it's an honor to be here. On behalf of my boss, Lieutenant General Berger, the 1 MEF commander, down in Pendleton, who's in charge of all the forces, of the Marine forces on the West Coast, he's really excited about this, and he'll be up later this week. And really, my other boss, Lieutenant General Mills, who's a MAR 4 North commander. So if there was a DISCA event and the Secretary of Defense assigns the MEF to support it, he would be our boss in that scenario. You know, San Francisco is really unique in the maturity and development in disaster planning, probably unlike any other city in the country. Really leaning forward in both in the leadership and the partnerships that we're talking about. And everybody talked about partnerships, and we know this from both in CONUS and apart overseas. It's cash in the bank when you have those relationships and you pick up the phones. And we know that the process of Title X forces coming into a scenario sometimes can be a little slow, and there's a process, but we can lean forward and start those relationships prior to necessarily those forces being assigned to the mission, and at least have those dialogued. And I was talking to a lot of Marines and stuff, and I said, how did yesterday go? And they said, absolutely great. A lot of cards being exchanged, a lot of points of contact, a lot of dialogue. And as I said yesterday, it's probably as important for the city to know what we can bring, for the city to know what we can't bring. What's our limitations? What can we do and cannot do? And we don't want to oversell ourselves. We realize as the military, we really are just a small portion of that response, probably in the early stages, because the capabilities within the United States, the relationships and things that come to bear will really be the significant difference. It's a team sport, this DISCA planning, and like I said, it's about relationships. But your Marine Corps has that expeditionary mindset. You know, we're ready to go today. You know, we're here to fight the wars, but when tasked, we definitely want to come and support the U.S. citizens. That's what they expect at our Corps. We're very good at mutual immediate aid. We do that all the time. It's that next step in DISCA planning and the ability to respond. And we have Ardent Century that's coming up. I think we're going to take it to the next level, as Colonel Butts talked about. And as we go and do these tabletops, which I think are really important, that we do more of those. Pick a few topics and continue those tabletops, and then realize what we can and cannot do. So without any further ado, there's a great lineup today. I don't want to waste any more time. It's a privilege to be here. Semper Fidelis.